everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Paperless Patient Care, the top 10 use cases for your digital health. I am the person on the right there. My name is Jennifer Royer. I am a senior manager in our industry product marketing group. Been at DocuSign for 2 years now, leading our healthcare and life sciences product marketing. Our other presenter today is Ellen Riley, who is the Vice President of Healthcare and Life Sciences. She has over 30 years of experience in leadership roles in IT, operations, and consulting. And I will be handing it over to Ellen in a few moments to discuss the top 10 use cases, but I'll be kicking it off here. So just to give you a sense of what we'll be covering today, we'll start off with the digital future in healthcare. So talking a little bit about trends and investment, really why digital matters for healthcare. We'll then turn it over to Ellen for the top 10 healthcare use cases, and she'll also touch on best practices for digital adoption. And then we'll wrap up, of course, with some Q&A. Now, I'd like to remind all of you on the phone that we do have that lovely Q&A box in the panel there, as well as the chat function. So as you're thinking of questions and kind of things come up during the session and the discussion, please feel free to enter your questions right there in the WebEx console. All right, so let's get started. We're talking about digital today, and I'd like to begin with a bold statement, which is that we here at DocuSign believe that all successful businesses will be 100% digital. Now, that comes from what we've heard in our customer and partner base, but also from some very credible research. So these statistics come from a study that was conducted by Deloitte and MIT, and that study showed that companies that rank high on digital maturity are found to enjoy a lot of really great benefits. 13% more revenue, these companies are also 50% more profitable, and they have a 19% higher market valuation. So some very quantifiable, tangible statistics around the benefits of investing in digital. But what we find is that while this is a great vision to have and a lot of companies are striving to become fully digital, oftentimes they're not there yet. And so what this means in a healthcare setting is that your organization has likely invested in a lot of different systems that you're running your business on. Now, that can be everything from procurement software or HR technology to technology you're using to run academic research or clinical trials or even onboard patients. But oftentimes, those systems aren't talking to each other or aren't connecting with the people in your ecosystem, the patients, physicians, suppliers, partners, and so forth. And what that means is that oftentimes when you're going to complete that transaction, get a signature, things are breaking down and reverting to the dreaded printing, scanning, faxing, overnighting documents. And that really creates a poor customer experience, a lot of inefficiencies, and it makes it a lot harder for you to get your work done and for other people to do business with you. Luckily, there is a better way. And so with DocuSign, we're helping you connect these systems to each other so that you can truly become fully digital and have a clean digital path that connects all the stakeholders in your ecosystem, that makes it easier for patients to interact with physicians or physicians to complete their contracts and credentialing and so forth, and really keep that in the fully digital realm. Now, again, kind of bringing this home to what it means for the industry, just wanted to hit on some key trends and challenges that you're likely dealing with today, and then kind of contextualize that in why digital matters in these areas. So one of the things that we're seeing is really the need to evolve the patient care model. Certainly, you've heard a lot about the consumerization of healthcare. Patients are expecting to get products, services, information when and where they need it. And where is that? Well, that's on their mobile device. That is not a stack of papers. That is not a clipboard. No one really wants to be dealing with manual processes anymore. They want to be on their device, they need it now. And interesting fact is that, and this comes from actually the same digital study that I cited earlier, the #1 reason that healthcare organizations are investing in digital is to improve the customer experience. So improve patient care, really change this model. Now, the second piece here around improving operational efficiency. Certainly a lot of changes with the shifting healthcare landscape and a lot of policy implications from the Affordable Care Act and other regulations are really forcing healthcare organizations to change the way that they're doing business today to have innovative business models. You need to be nimble, you need to cut costs, and you really need to evolve to succeed. Now, 87% of executives happen to be investing in digital to improve efficiency, so really hitting on this point. And when you're doing that with digital and digital investments, that means you're able to improve productivity, simplify processes, and then the icing on the cake, which is very important, saving time and costs in the process. So printing, scanning, and faxing really don't cut it anymore. When you need to be efficient, when you need to be nimble, the answer really is digital. And then, of course, maintaining HIPAA compliance. There are a host of regulations that you're dealing with. HIPAA is one. You've got SOX, Safe Harbor, and others. And digital is able to provide the most authentication for you to really have that robust identity proofing. And with digital, you have a full audit trail. So I often describe it as being a little bit creepy, but you can actually see when someone has viewed a document, filled it out, signed it. You have that fully traceable trail. So you can rest easy knowing when things happened, where to find them. You're not sending lawyers into a document basement to try and find that physician contract that was signed. You've got that all in the digital realm under your control. So with that, just a little bit of more context on how DocuSign fits into this. DocuSign is the fastest, most secure way to make every decision and approval digital so you can keep life and business moving forward. Now, bringing this to life a little bit more, Ellen will go into a lot more detail on some of these examples, but what this means is that folks like Integris are digitizing their purchasing agreements and contract management and procurement. Lehigh Valley Health Network has digital HR forms, so just think about when you're starting a new job, all that paperwork, that is completely digital now. And Children's Hospital of LA for surgery e-consent. So all of these, what used to be paper processes, now fully digital with DocuSign, and again, Ellen will elaborate on these a little more later. And what's powering this is the DocuSign technology. So DocuSign at a glance here, we're really helping you through the whole life cycle of preparing, executing, and managing your digital agreements and documents. And so that's everything from pulling those documents from the systems that you're using today, maybe that's Box or SAP, Salesforce. We can actually work with a lot of these various document repositories or systems on your computer, pulling those into a workflow, routing that and setting up that automatic routing for who needs to complete and sign something and when. Part of that is the authentication, so you can add various features like knowledge-based authentication, SMS text, to really have enough layers to feel confident that this person is who they say they are when they're completing that transaction. And then the last piece around managing that transaction is the reporting and the audit trail that you have to really see when someone has completed something, how long it took, and so forth. And this can also take completed documents and store them in systems that you're using today. So a lot of really cool stuff that you can do with the technology, kind of soup to nuts in that digital workflow. And this is all built on a platform with industry-leading trust and security, carrier-grade, or as I like to say, always-on availability, and a really open framework that allows you to connect to systems you're using today. And these are sort of the three flavors, if you will, of DocuSign. So you can use DocuSign alone as an app in a web application. We also have a lot of pre-built connectors or integrations. So I referenced Salesforce and SAP, also the Office 365 suite, Google, Ariba, and many others. So these are integrations that are readily available and connect to a lot of other systems that you're using today. But if you've got a homegrown system or you need something else that's not out of the box, not a problem. As I like to say, it's fun to work at DocuSign because we get to say yes a lot. So we work with you to understand your needs. We have really robust REST and SOAP APIs that can plug into the systems that you're using today, and we can do a lot of that custom work for you. And why people are choosing DocuSign? Well, it's really these three key things: choice, experience, and trust. Choice is really around working the way that you do. Experience is around the experience that we bring as a partner, as well as how easy it is to learn and use the technology. And then trust is really around a lot of the investments we've made in security, availability, and others. And diving into a little bit deeper each of these, in terms of the choice or flexibility that we're providing, it's also around mobility. So we are on all mobile devices. You know, we're Android, Apple, Windows. We have native apps on those. We are also available in 43 languages. I referenced APIs and the integrations earlier, so these are some ways that we can work with the technologies that you're using today. Experience, I like to refer to this as the digital delight that users have when they experience DocuSign for the first time. It's fast, it's easy, it's intuitive, and that's from the very start. I think once people use DocuSign, they don't really want to go back to the old way of paper and so forth. And then this is really also around the experience that we bring. We have over 110,000 customers, and so certainly have seen a lot of different use cases and can help you along your journey. And then trust. We take trust very seriously, and so we've invested over $500 million into our platform, into industry-leading security and various security certifications. You've got that full audit trail so you can see when and where things happened along the way in your transaction. And, you know, 50 million users can't be wrong. We've got the largest presence in the industry of folks using our technology and over 50,000 new users joining the network every day. So very exciting growth and investment in this area. And then what you can expect from your investment is really, you know, that delightful customer experience, the return on the investment. This is really something that pays for itself time and time again, and not only the hard dollar savings, but also the productivity gains that you'll see. And, you know, when it comes down to it, you're able to use your time more efficiently. So you can spend more time with patients, less time on paperwork. And then the security and compliance, again, very important to this industry, and so helping you comply with HIPAA and other things is something that you can expect to see. Now, before I turn over to Ellen, I actually want to do a quick poll question for the audience. So I'm going to open this up as I walk through it, but if you look in that console, you can see you're able to actually fill this out. So wanted to get a read on which of these best describe the extent that you are using digital technologies in your daily operations. So everything from, hey, we've still got a lot of paper, to everything is digital. So I'll give folks a few more seconds to weigh in here, and then we will do a little readout. All right, so let's see what we've got here. Wow, quite the array. It looks like a little over a quarter are fully paper-based. So very glad that you're tuning in today, and hope you'll get some inspiration from the use cases we're about to walk through in the context here. We've got a handful that are fully digital. So excellent. And then everyone else is kind of in between. So kind of a smattering across here. Good stuff. All right, so with that, the moment you've been waiting for, the top 10 use cases in healthcare, I will hand it over to my esteemed colleague, Ms. Ellen Riley. Ellen, take it away.
Thanks, Jen. So as Jen mentioned, there are really 3 key challenges that you all face, and patient care being the most important, how to improve that, how to delight your patients and interact with them. Operational efficiency, how do you take costs out, whether it's paper or integrating to the investments in your EMR or EHR systems. And then compliance, making sure you're HIPAA compliant, that you can meet any of the regulatory agencies that may be auditing you and looking at your data. So based on our experience with hundreds of healthcare organizations similar to yours, we've identified 10 use cases that seem to be prevalent among the users of DocuSign. This is not comprehensive. We actually have 180 use cases identified in healthcare that people are using DocuSign for, but these are the top 10 that we wanted to share with you. Physician credentialing and contracting, new patient forms and onboarding, consent forms, patient-provider portals, medical evaluation forms, academic research, home and senior health care documents, contracts, procurement, and human resources. So I'll share with you some case studies of customers and how they're solving their business problems with DocuSign. So physician credentialing and contracting. So Indiana Emergency Care is a private practice of emergency care physicians, and they contract with different hospitals, emergency room departments. And they were bound by lots of paper and trying to onboard physicians and getting them as part of their organization and getting them to be able to support any ER calls and out in the field. And so what they did was implement DocuSign to really onboard physicians electronically, allow them to sign using their mobile devices, and making them part of the Indiana Emergency Care Network quicker without losing paperwork, without any rework about having not all the data as part of the initial process and onboarding. And so they've identified that it saves them hundreds of hours for every time they onboard a physician. Use case 2 is new patient forms and onboarding. We all have gone into the doctor's office and have to fill out a clipboard with paper and fill out that information. Well, the opportunity to use that and fill that out on your time at your leisure, Greenfield Health has provided an application that patients can fill out information and in the waiting room on an iPad or remotely, and allows them to onboard and fill out all the information and integrate with the system, so when they are ready to interact with the doctor, all that information is integrated to their electronic health record system and allows for an error-free interaction so that the physician can focus on interacting with the patient and reducing the amount of administrative time in coming into the office, spending more time reading those lovely magazines. Third, consent forms. So Children's Hospital of LA interacts with lots of parents that need to get consent forms signed for their children for immediate surgery or access. And part of their challenge is they have a lot of language issues. They've got people with all sorts of languages beyond English. And so they needed a way to get an immediate consent from parents or caregivers for surgery and physician attention. And so they set up an application using DocuSign and iPads for in-person signing that would actually have a language translation and of their choice and bring that information, that consent form in and integrate directly into their Cerner EMR system. And it focused on easing the burden of a parent in dealing with the concern of their child getting surgery or health management, and made it quicker and interacted so they could get to dealing with their child and what they were dealing with from a healthcare issue. Next use case is around patient and provider portals. So the ability to support all the forms, all the information, moving patients from one healthcare provider to another, referrals. We have customers that are using us, integrating DocuSign into a portal that allows a physician to go online and use forms or their office staff to fill out transactions, sign it, to move the continuum of care to a new organization. They also used it for onboarding patients and allowing patients to do it from their home and remote. Another organization, QTC, which is a division of Lockheed Martin, deals with medical evaluation forms and using DocuSign. They've reduced the transaction and administrative of entering that data into their back-end systems from 32 hours to 2 hours. They do over 450,000 medical exams a year, and they are the biggest provider of government outsourced occupational health and disability exams. They relied heavily on faxing documents from their back-end operations to the different providers around the country that are independent practices. So they did not have shared information systems. So they used faxing to send the information about a patient to the different sites. And they were contractually obligated to do this within a certain amount of time period. And they were having limitations with organizations not having fax machines anymore. And with the implementation of DocuSign, they found over 1,500% improvement in making sure that medical exams were completed in an hour or less, because the physicians, the local physicians had that information and could take care of the patients immediately. The next case study is one that tugs at the heart. Cedars-Sinai is a very large site that looks at breast cancer and women's health issues, and they are one of the largest nonprofit hospitals in the country with over 2,000 physicians, and they were having challenges getting people to donate tissue and consent to participate in clinical trials to look for ways to solve and research around cancer. And so they implemented a portal integrating DocuSign that allowed a patient to look at all the information, go through a process to onboard them for donation of tissue, and participate and sign up into a clinical study. And they found, based on using the DocuSign process and integrating into their back-end systems, the enrollment increased. They had over 4 times the amount of people enrolling and a much smoother process to getting people a part of those studies. The next use case for DocuSign in healthcare revolves around home and senior healthcare patients. So we have a lot of healthcare organizations that have to go out, visiting nurse programs, hospice organizations have to go out, and they have to get people to fill out patient consent, sign contracts, and interacting with a home health care organization. And using DocuSign integrated to other technologies, they found over $15 savings in every single transaction they had. It also reduced the errors to 0 and passed information back and forth so they could take care of the patients and not spend the time on an administrative work and fixing errors later on. Contracting. So this seems an obvious place to use DocuSign. Many of you may have used DocuSign for mortgages or buying a house on the real estate side. Well, as you know, in healthcare organizations, you have contracts that may have to go between you and a managed care organization, a group purchasing organization, suppliers, the ability to use DocuSign to move those business transactions, and the volume of information that goes between the organization. DocuSign is willing to sign a BAA to support this. We also will help you with your process and getting the contracts signed by making it in the cloud digitally. And we find that customers actually find that to get your contract signed within an hour in many cases. Procurement. Johns Hopkins, Sutter Health, other organizations use this for vendor contracts and onboarding service delivery contracts and master services agreements, and it helps them. Some hospitals, such as University Hospital in Newark, uses us for approval of invoices through the workflow of the hospital administration organization. Another area that has a lot of paper in the healthcare organizations are onboarding employees. The Lehigh Valley Health Network integrates DocuSign with their back-end human resource operations system to send out onboarding offer letters, onboarding all the information to bring employees into their organization, such as confidentiality agreements, giving them sign-ups for benefits. They have an employee base of 13,000 employees, and it reduces their errors because the data comes back, it integrates back into their HR systems, and nobody has to rekey that information. It eliminates the need for off-site storage of these documents because everything is digital. So they are our top 10 use cases. Quickly, I want to share we do meet ISO certification. We support HIPAA and Sarbanes-Oxley and Safe Harbor Management of Information and the FDA Part 11 certs. And we do recommend when you're adopting DocuSign, you really keep 6 key things in mind when you're looking to apply our technology to your paper problem. Build early wins, get somebody to really be the executive sponsor internally, partner with your business areas and your IT to make this happen, measure the results because as you'll find as you invest in DocuSign, it will pay for itself. So I'm going to turn it over to Jen to take any questions and close it out.
All right. Thank you very much, Ellen. So we had a few questions come in. One is, how did you select the top 10 use cases? Is it based on the most widely used or the most transformational areas as folks look to go to digital? So Ellen, I will hand that to you to answer.
So a couple of the use cases were actually based on volume, based on our healthcare customers, how many times they used those, created those use cases. And that was, the procurement use case is a great example. Most of our customers have adopted that use case first of all. Then some of the others are really clearly transformational, how they engage, especially on the patient consent side and the clinical trials registry programs.
Great. All right, so another question here is, can you integrate DocuSign with other systems?
Yeah, so as Jen mentioned, we have REST and SOAP APIs. We have out-of-the-box connectors for tools such as Microsoft Office, SharePoint, Google, Box, Salesforce. We have, integrations to EMR systems. So feel free to reach out to us, as well as look on our website. We have a list of all of our current integrations. If you don't find one that you're looking for, please let us know. You can send an email.
Great. All right, looks like we've got a couple more. One is, do our customers and partners have to sign up or sign in to use DocuSign?
So no, when you send out a document to one of your partners, they will get the business transaction in the email and they can sign it. They do not have to have a DocuSign account. They will be offered to have one after they get that, but they do not have to have one.
Great. All right, I think we have time for one more. So last question here is, can you send documents from a mobile device?
Yes, you can. I have done that. I was at a meeting and I had to get a document for my child's school, and so I had it on an email on my phone, saved it, loaded into DocuSign, signed it, and sent it.
Great. Yeah, that actually hits on a very interesting point, is that a lot of people are familiar with DocuSign in their personal lives, something like signing a permission slip or closing a mortgage, and then, you know, bringing it into your business and your healthcare organization is something that seems like a natural next step. So that is all the time we have today. I'd like to thank Ellen for being an excellent co-presenter here, and thank all of you for the time and tuning in. And we hope to hear from you soon. If you have any questions, please email webinar@docusign.com. Give us a call, visit the website. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks again, everyone.